ever dealt with a very stressful situation as a leader or as a person and been in a situation where it just emotionally drains you? Well, we all have days like that. And I want to share with you in this particular video a couple of strategies that can help you manage stress and manage your emotions when you are very stressed. Because believe it or not, my channel focuses on leadership, and this is something that can be used whether you are in a leadership role or not. So this is one of those exceptions, but of course I'm going to talk about it more in the form of being a leader. Because as a leader or as an individual, how you respond under stress is a very good indication of how you're going to manage very high pressured, high stakes situations. So if this is something that you struggle with, and sometimes maybe when emotions are high or someone does something to really make you mad, and your first response is to just go from 0 to 1,000 in an instant, then I want to share with you a couple strategies that have personally helped me over the years to manage my emotions when I am under stress. And I hope that this information helps you on your journey as you're developing yourself as a leader, specifically if you're developing yourself just as a person. I mean, we all need these stress management tools, and sometimes it's kind of hard. It's difficult when you're in the middle of it, right? You're in the middle of it, you got fires to put out, you got a lot of stress. This happens a lot as leaders. So this is a live video, and I want to be able to say hello to everyone as they join. So if you're watching this, you're most likely watching this now on the replay, and I appreciate you for doing so. But if there's a moment where I have people join and I have to pause for a second to say hello to everyone, know that's what I'm doing. Give me just a few moments just to at least say hello, and then I'll jump back into a couple things that have actually helped me be able to manage my emotions under stress. Now, I do want to preface this by saying I'm sharing with you over 20 years worth of experience as a C-suite executive, as a director, as a manager. Those roles, if you didn't know, are stressful. And life can be stressful too. But I'm going to share with you over 20 years worth of experience. So I appreciate you for being here and learning some really great tips to help you manage your emotions under stress. So I want to say hello to everyone that has joined today. Hello and welcome. Feel free to let me know what part of this beautiful world you are joining from today. And I want to know from you, what are some things that you have done that have helped you to be able to manage your emotions when you are stressed? Put it in the comments below. Let me know. And I want to say hello to everyone. And if this topic is of interest to you and you want to learn more strategies on how to manage stress, just as a person, as a leader, then this is the channel you want to subscribe to. I talk a lot of information about how to manage yourself as a leader under pressure. So feel free to make sure that you subscribe and like this video if you like the content so far. So I want to say hello to Turner. Hello, welcome, welcome. Nathan D. Hello, welcome. Turner's from the USA. All right, awesome. Thank you so much for representing. Okay, so Turner said, when under stress, I punch the wall. Okay, so punching the wall, people do it. People do that sometimes, right? And so I'm going to talk about ways to maybe not hurt that wall's feelings if possible, and be able to try to manage our emotions a bit whenever we're stressed. That's what I'm talking about. That's what the video is about. So one of the things that I've done, and I've been in some really stressful situations, as many of you have been, and if you're just joining, welcome. Feel free to let me know, what do you do to manage your stress? Like when you're really stressed, what do you do? What do you do? Turner says that Turner punches the wall. Is there anything else you all do to manage your stress, so we can kind of talk about it and see how we can help you do it and maybe direct it in a different way? So I'll tell you for me personally, and one of the things that a lot of people don't talk about when it comes to developing and managing stress is there's a certain level of like stamina you have to build to it. And when you're in a leadership role, it happens quite a bit. You deal with a lot of stress, and you have to learn how to manage it. And so one of the strategies that I personally do to manage my emotions when I'm stressed, and I tend to be a very, very level-headed person. Things don't really get me upset, but things happen. Things get me frustrated where I just want to just lose it too, but I don't do that because I need to make sure I'm projecting myself as that leader and preserving my executive presence everywhere I go in my life. So the first strategy that I personally do when I have those emotional times, because I have them, I had some today, believe it or not, is I take a breath. Literally, I will literally just take a breath and pause for a second. And pretty much I just freeze everything in time. Now, I know a lot of times when you're emotional and you're mad, you may punch that wall, and that may be the first response because you're just mad, you just got to take it out. But if you can think about maybe taking that breath first of all, it's helping to help you to relax, number one. And then two is bringing oxygen back to your body, because a lot of times when we're really stressed out, we really pretty much hold our breaths because we just don't know what to say. Now, I'm saying this, even though I'm a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice. Let me make that disclaimer very clear. But sometimes when we are stressed, we do tend to tense. And a lot of times when we tense up, we are either tense in our face, we are either holding our breath, or we are clenching our fist, or maybe we're punching a wall. We can do a lot of different things when we're very stressed that we don't necessarily know that we do. So when you have those stressful moments, you think about maybe a time when you were really, really stressed. From a coaching standpoint, I would ask you, what made you react that way? What happened? Was there a conversation that was had? Did someone say something to you to make you feel stressed? I always like to go back to see what is it really is the problem. And that leads into my next strategy. So my first strategy when you're managing your emotions under stress is to take a breath. Just breathe and pause everything in time. A lot of times you have things going a mile a minute. You have things going here, things going there, and this is literally what's going on in your mind, right? There's this going on, that, this, that, whatever else. But if you take a minute to just breathe, that gives you time just to relax and just kind of refocus, ground yourself, clear your mind, and say, okay, I took a breath, so what do I need to do next? This goes into strategy number 2. My second strategy that I do when I'm trying to manage my emotions when I am stressed is to think. After I take that big breath, and I'm telling you exactly what I do as a C-suite executive, as a director. I've done this many, many times before, especially if I'm by myself. I do it by myself. You know, if I'm not going to just be in front of someone's face and just breathe like that. That looks way too odd. But if you can pull yourself away from everyone, take a moment and just breathe. But my second strategy going into it is that I think I have to reflect back and say, what is the real issue? Now, I talk about this a lot on my channel because oftentimes when you're in the middle of those situations, when you're under pressure, when you're in those high stakes situations, very tense environments, oftentimes we just do not have that time to really pause and reflect and think about how we can actually manage this situation or what is the issue. And so I found that when I take that moment to, strategy one is to breathe. 2 is to think about what is the real issue. It allows me to think through what is the problem so I can come up with a solution. Sometimes when you're really stressed, it's hard to come up with that solution because you have so many things on your mind and you're emotionally charged to where you just don't want to process anything because your emotions have completely taken over. But I found that if you think and ask yourself, what is the real problem here? It will allow you to come up with the best solution and the best way for you to respond. I'll give you an example. So for instance, there was a situation that happened with a client of mine where she was actually paying a vendor a fee. And from her understanding, when we were talking about this, and she's a business owner, so this is why I bring it up, because she's a business owner. So in the situation that happened with her is that she had a very clear understanding with this vendor of her fees that she was responsible for paying for. And she had already made a very large payment for the services they were providing. Well, she received an invoice and a text message that said, oh, you owe us an additional $500 for the services we're providing. And so my client, she reached out to me because we had already been working together, but I do provide my clients with high level support. Even after we work together, they still have me as a support. And so they reach out to me for various things. And that is one of the things that makes me different as an executive coach, is that I have ongoing support for my clients because I really do care about them. But I mentioned this because she reached out to me and said, I'm feeling a bit frustrated, and I want to make sure that I'm preserving myself, my executive presence that we built up in our coaching sessions. And I want to make sure I'm being very level-headed in this response, but these people are really stressing me out. I'm really frustrated. I already spent a lot of money with them, and now they're telling me I owe them more. I just don't know how to respond. And so one of the things that we talked about was to, one, take that breath, and two, figure out what is the root issue, what is the problem. And so when I was working with her and we were talking through it, and this is all just communicating via text, she mentioned to me that she had a document that said this is what the scope of work was, and this is what you can expect as the scope of work, and it itemized everything. And in there it said that this particular aspect that was mentioned to her that she owed $500 for was already included. And so what we talked about was, let's put this in a format to where you can share this with your vendor and explain to them and say, this is what I received. This is the information that I have paid for. Please help me understand the discrepancy or where there's an issue. Now, she could have answered and responded in a very different way, in a very emotional way. She could have easily said, you know what? I've already paid you X amount of dollars. I'm not paying you additional $500. It's already included in what you told me, and that's that. You can respond that way, and sometimes you may have to respond that way. But for the most part, if you're trying to really elevate yourself as a leader and manage your emotions, then you want to manage how you respond to other people too. So what did she do? She sent them a message, and she took a screenshot of what was already present in the scope of work that said that this particular item that they were mentioning was already paid for. So she received a response back, and she told them that this item was already paid for based on the screenshot and what I've already received in terms of the scope of work. Can you please help me explain why there's an additional $500 charge when it appears that I've already paid for it? They responded back to her, and they said the following: we looked at your message. We apologize for the confusion. This was actually sent from someone who was not well versed in the project. And so instead of us charging you additional fee, we're going to provide you with a discount on the future services. Now, for me and her as a business owner, that was a good way to keep a client, because you, one, admit there was a problem, that there was a mistake on their end. As a business owner, as a leader, if there's a mistake that happens, you have to own it. You're going to have to own the mistake and be accountable for it. This is why you're a leader. This is why you're a business owner. But the fact that they were able to do that for her and then provide her with a discount because they valued her and they realized that they really messed up, that is a way you keep somebody. But what I want to highlight is how my client responded. She responded in a very professional way, asking for clarification. So when you have those situations that happen, when your emotions are running very high and you're really upset, instead of punching a wall or yelling at someone or rolling your eyes or popping your lips or moving your head, take a breath first. Take a breath first and think about what is the real issue. Majority of the time, the issue is going to be something along the lines of communication, which is one of the reasons why I make such a heavy focus on communication on my channel, because I see how a lot of things can happen with communication. Sometimes you don't communicate for good reason because there's nothing to communicate about, but then sometimes you need to communicate. And majority of the time when you're really upset like that, there's something missing as it relates to communication. So for those of you who have just joined, welcome, welcome. I just shared with you 2 very quick strategies that I wanted to highlight for anyone that has been in a situation where you are managing your emotions when you are stressed. The first strategy is to take a breath. Just find a quiet place and just breathe. That allows your body to get oxygen, that allows your mind to just refresh itself, and that gives you that quiet time you need to just think and just kind of detract yourself from the situation. My second strategy is to think about what is the real problem. Not the emotional problem, not how you feel, not that you want to just go off on somebody. No. Think about what is the problem and deal with the problem in a way that you can address it logically, professionally, with the emotions out. And I guarantee you this will help you not only as a business owner, not only as a leader, not only as a woman in leadership, but as a person as well. I see so many people just go off the deep end because of something. And are there times that you need to go off the deep end? Not necessarily. Are there times you have to be more assertive? Yes. And so you have to use those type of communication strategies in different places, but that is for another video, right? So I hope this information has been helpful to you. If you want me to go into more content as it relates to managing stress under pressure, then let me know in the comments below. I know this is something that a lot of people deal with, especially nowadays. There's a lot of things that stress us out. There's a lot of things that people have going on, they're dealing with, and I want to be able to support you in any way that I can. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments below. I will respond to every question I have. And if it's something that you want to try to get some help with in terms of how to manage your emotions when you're stressed as a woman in leadership, then reach out to me. Contact me for a executive strategy session. We'll set up some time where we can talk about where you are and get you to that place of where you want to be. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the next video, and I hope that you have an absolutely amazing day, stress-free day, or at least in a way where you're managing your stress like an executive. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.